Diamond Cut.
It's 6 degrees here with 6 degrees and beyond. I got a special guest with me right now. It's the great weatherman himself, Mark McEwen.
Who is your cousin.
Yo, how you doing, brother?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing good. So, everything been going good in this pandemic society we live in?
You know, I don't watch the news like I used to watch the news. I read papers. I read about 4 a day. I like knowing things. But I being home and, I've binge watched everything I want to. And, I'm ready to. But the good thing is, see, the way we're doing this interview is how I do it now on my show. This is great. This is great.
It is. This is how I meet with my classes on Tuesday and Thursday also.
Oh, cool.
And Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you mentioned binge watching. What was your favorite thing that you binge watched since we've been quarantined here?
Well, I'm still binge watching it. The West Wing.
Okay.
Season 5 of it. I heard from all kinds of people I should watch it, never did. So I thought, let me check this out. Before you knew it, I was in. I'll tell you a story. I wrote about this in my blog. Gus, I was in New York right after being on CBS, and I lived in a high-rise apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
One room in that apartment building was full of mailboxes. And so I came in to get my mail. There was a guy with his back to me who had a Few Good Men leather jacket on. And I had just seen that on Broadway. Timothy Busfield, who's on the West Wing, he plays the Tom Cruise part that Tom played in the movie. And the guy, Colonel Jessup, Jack Nicholson played him in the movie, was Ron Perlman on Broadway. Anyway, it was great. So I say to the back, I just saw that on Broadway. How'd you get that jacket? He turns around, he says, I wrote it. It was Aaron Sorkin.
Wow.
Met him getting mail.
Cool. So people don't know this, as we reveal it now. You are my cousin. Explain to everybody how I'm your cousin.
Oh, God. I know. I've known your mom forever, even though we're related. Gus, if you think back to early memories that you have, sometimes it's like looking through a shower curtain. Mm-hmm. You see it, but it's fuzzy. Gus, gee whiz, maybe 10, maybe younger. I went to your mom's house to see Homer McEwen is my dad's brother, your grandfather. So we go there, and Phyllis was just as cute as she could be. Cynthia was a great, your aunt, the older sister to your mom, and Gus, your dad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another story I have to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Atlanta at Old Fulton County Stadium because it was the first time the Atlanta Braves had ever gone to the World Series. So
95.
You're right. I'm in the stadium, and I'm going up to right field with the guy who is the superintendent of the stadium, older black gentleman. And he's right along. I said, He says, have you ever been here before? I said, oh, yeah. My uncle used to be a minister here. He says, who's your uncle? And I say, Homer McEwen. He hits the brakes. He turns around, takes me back downstairs. Andrew Young, and oh God, he used to be the mayor of Atlanta.
Maynard Jackson?
Maynard Jackson. He pulls out, and Harry Smith, who's anchoring my show, is about to interview them together. He says, tell them who your uncle is. My uncle is Homer McEwen. And Andrew Young says, he used to babysit me. And Maynard Jackson says, he married me. And Harry Smith dropped right on the floor, and I was 10 feet tall. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah. I remember when I first met you, I didn't know you were on TV. I had to be about 5 or 6 years old. And I met you. I met Uncle Walter. I met Cousin Skip. I met Aunt Connie.
Yeah.
And Russell, Cousin Russell, Uncle Walter's son.
Where was this?
In Atlanta at my grandmother's house, 40 West Lake Avenue.
Okay.
And I didn't know you were on TV at that point. I don't know if you were on TV at that point. I didn't know what you did at that point. And I met your sister, Leslie. Leslie passed?
Yeah.
She passed?
Yes, she should.
Rest in peace to Leslie.
Thank you.
I met Leslie, and your father came. I love your father. Great guy. It's my grandfather's youngest brother and my grandfather's only sibling that's living now.
Right.
Your dad is a great guy. I call him Lil Wayne because he made it rain. He was giving us money. He loved the kids. Uncle Alfred loved the kids. He gave me and my Aunt Cynthia's daughter, Monica, like crazy money. Like every time he says, give us money, right? So I call him Lil Wayne, right? And then I remember that. And I remember your sister, she and your father did a concert at our church, and they were great. And my grandfather, I would always hear who we were related to, and one of the people was Leontine Price. I heard we're distant relatives with Leontine Price, the opera singer.
Yeah, I'm
like, wow.
And my dad used to tell me we were related to Cassius Clay.
That's correct.
Clay, because his mother was a Clay. And so that's where he took that from. Plus, I thought I looked like Cassius Clay when I was young.
Story, my grandma, Maxell, who is my only living grandparent, she's 104 right now. God bless her.
Yeah. When
I was young, I saw grandfather, granddaddy's Letterman picture from college. He went to Dillon University back when it was called Straight College in Louisiana. They actually had a football team there. He lettered in 3 or 4 sports. I know he played football. He played basketball. I know he could play baseball. I don't know if he played in college. But I'm looking at his Letterman sweater. Granddaddy was a handsome guy like yourself. And I had to be about 5 or 6. I said, Grandmama, he looks like Muhammad Ali. Yeah. She said, that's his cousin. Yeah. So, the next day at school, I'm like, Muhammad Ali is my cousin.
Right. That was me. Yeah. Gus, when I was on CBS, I anchored with a bunch of people. And one time, I anchored with Brian Gumbel. And Brian Gumbel, not the warmest egg in the bunch. Not a real warm guy. He used to drink wine with every cooking segment. And I thought, wine with pancakes? That to me doesn't make sense. But anyway, my mother had passed. It was right after her funeral. We were going through some things, and a Xavier University yearbook came up. And he opens it up. That's mine, he says. I went to school with, there he is, Brian Gumbel's father, Richard Gumbel. My dad said he was his student government president. Then he turned the page, and there was my dad who sang opera, all gussied up, makeup up a full page, and he said that I was a star of the class. I thought, how cool. See, you forget that they used to be kids. You forget that because you meet them as parents, but they were kids.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Reverend Young that you mentioned earlier, the second Black mayor of Atlanta, he married my parents also.
Yeah.
And
How about that?
I attended Florida A&M University with his son, Bo.
Okay.
I think Bo was named after Bohannon, who was alumni of Clark Atlanta University, who just passed. May he rest in peace. One of his other daughters, Andrea, I believe, my mother used to babysit her. So crazy, small world.
Yeah.
And Reverend Young, cool guy. So I've been reading your blog. You're personal friends with BB King?
Yeah.
I met your friend. As you know, I worked at Turner Broadcasting, right? I was at Turner Broadcasting, working at the Trumpet Awards, right? It was a award ceremony set up by Zenonia Clayton, who was one of Dr. King's aides, very big in our community. And so I volunteered every year. This year, I volunteered, me and some of my buddies were with me, and Reverend Young was there. And Reverend Young said, "Hey, Gus," gave me a big hug and said, "I just talked to your mother today."
Yeah.
Fellas were clowning me like, "Hey, Mary Young Reverend Young talked to your mom." Like,
See, that's when you want someone like him to say something like that.
It was really cool because I never met the current mayor. Was I forget his name. He's frat though. Bill Campbell was the mayor at the time. So he introduced. It's weird. We're very close to Reverend Young, and we were very close to Jean Young, his wife who passed. He has a new wife now, but we were real close. Our family was real close to Mrs. Young, the original Mrs. Young. So his new wife. You know, older people, they have this thing where if one of them passes and they get another partner or what have you, you know, so the late great Gene Young was real close with our family, just like Reverend Young. But they, like his current wife, I can't remember her name. I'm just saying Mrs. Young, the current Mrs. Young. He never introduces us to her. And I think it has something to do with that, the fact that she was Gene Young's friend. So, you know, it ain't none of our business, but I think when she passed, she was like, "Andrew, I want you to get close with my friend, and I want you to marry her." or say, I want you to stay with her. She's going to take care of you. And if you want to marry her, go ahead and marry her. I mean, I don't know what was, but I think that's what happened.
I go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the band kicks in.
Right. So basically, it was like I met Mayor Campbell. Reverend Young was there. He introduced me to his wife, but he introduced me to my frat brother, Mayor Campbell, who I wasn't in the frat at the time, but I met Bill Campbell. So it was real cool to meet Bill Campbell. And then I met BB King. I met your friend BB King. Nice guy, real genuine, just super cool.
Well, I wrote about that when I first met him.
Mm-hmm.
They hooked him on the CBS morning show, and the anchors were more concerned with news guys. So I'm like, is that BB King over there? So I'm like, hey, how's it going? And treating him with the dignity and respect he deserves. So then I did, over the years he'd come on, I did a show on A&E called Live by Request. And he was the guests one week, and they had guests. His was Jeff Beck, and Jeff Beck during rehearsal we would have on the evening of the show. He was kind of like in awe of BB King, kind of holding back. And BB said, "Tonight during the show, don't be stingy. And Jeff went, okay. And they tore that place out that night. Great guy, great guy.
So when I first met you, I remember your dad talking about you said your brother Chris, and I met Chris and Kirk are one and the same, correct?
Right.
So I met Kirk or Chris on Facebook, and then I met him on Facebook, and it was at the time he had his sports show in the Tampa Bay area.
Right.
So he lived right in Dunedin. So he came over to my mom's condo. So I met him and his daughter. And daughter, pretty girl, reminded me of my Aunt Cynthia's daughter, Monica, immediately.
Yeah.
So I remember your dad was so proud of all of you. And I remember him telling me about Chris. I ain't put two and two together that Chris and Kirk were the same person until after I met him. What was the reason he changed his name? Or
well, his real name is Christopher. When he was 19 and a DJ, there was a DJ on the same station who had the name Chris. And they said you should change it. Without consulting anyone, he went with Kirk. And he's been Kirk. His wife doesn't even know him as Chris. She knows him as Kirk. So,
is he a Trekkie?
not really. Not really.
Okay. Didn't know he was a big sports fan. I didn't know that you're a big baseball fan.
Yeah.
What's your favorite baseball team and why?
Team?
Major League.
First, I'll tell you player. Bob Gibson, Hall of Fame pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. Been my hero since I was 10. Played for my first Little League team called the Cardinals, and I pitched. In 1964, he pitched for the St. Louis Cardinals against the Yankees in the World Series, and the St. Louis Cardinals won. He's such a big hero of mine. Miles is Miles Gibson McEwen for Bob. Okay, best team might be, when I first came here to New York, I was a Mets fan. Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, Keith Hernandez, those guys, Gary Carter. And then I didn't like George Steinbrenner. Well, God rest his soul, he passed away.
Yes.
And Joe Torre, who is Bob Gibson's best friend, came to the Yankees to manage. And they said, you got the wrong Joe. They wanted the guy from Baltimore, who just, that guy. But Joe, that team won, count them, 5 world championships. So it would have to be one with Jeter, Mariano. I like Tippy. I like A-Rod, but not at third. I liked him better at short, but they had a shortstop. So, and Jeter. So that era of Yankee teams.
Jeter's a cool guy. I think Tom Brady's renting a house from Jeter now that he played for the Bucks now.
Okay. Must be a nice house.
I'm sure you love Tampa. We got a lot of talent coming out of there, especially baseball and football, because all year round the weather is nice. I mean, I have friends that play ball with Dwight Gooden at Belmont Heights Park.
Okay.
I went to high school with Derek Bell that used to play for the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And your uncle, my grandfather, was Hank Aaron's spiritual advisor. Hank Aaron was a member of our church for a while. And, after he broke Babe Ruth's record, of course, he was getting death threats and things like that. So Granddaddy came to say today and, kind of helped him out. And his wife, Billy, was my mother's English teacher. Matter of fact, crazy. Cool. I'm a Braves fan, man. Braves first. And then since I grew up in Tampa, I was a Cardinals fan for a minute because the Cardinals used to spring train in Tampa, and the Cincinnati Reds as well.
Right.
Great, terrific. So, how's your daughter Maya?
Maya's fine. Maya is now 24, lives in Redondo Beach out near LA. LA,
Mhm.
if you're in Paris. Where are you from? LA. She works, Gus, for a company called All Access. And All Access makes made the sets for the Super Bowl halftime show. They make the sets for The Voice, all of them. They make the sets for Coachella. If Garth Brooks, if Adele, if Sam Smith, the big names go on tour, they make all this stuff.
Oh,
And
that's
she complains about it like your kids can live.
that's dope. Um, I remember I came to visit New York, and you took me to your high rise, and we were walking down the street, and the lady was like, "Oh, can I get a picture with you, Al Roker?" Right? And we were like, we both bust out laughing because a few years before I had got you on Space Ghost, and we wrote it in the script where we had sorry, I call you Al Roker. The lady thought you were Al Roker for real, and we just like looked at her and we laughed. Um, and I remember crazy about mine. She was 5 years old last time I saw her, and you took me up to the high rise, and I met your wife at the time. I know you remarried, but
Yeah.
she was watching Robin Hood, the Disney Robin Hood. I loved that as a child. That was my introduction to Robin Hood, the Fox Robin Hood, and the soundtrack was off the chain. Um, when is when is Maya's birthday?
May 24th, same day as my sister, who's gone, her birthday, May 24th.
Okay, so I was looking. Me and Maya, we're here. I was looking at your blog. I'm a big Ed Sheeran fan myself.
You are cool.
Matter of fact, "Shape of You" is my favorite song. But then, my grandmother's 104, and so I I'm trying to prepare, man. If something happens, I want to sing 70 at her funeral. That was Ed. His grandmother, something to do with a letter he wrote his grandmother. She wrote him back, and then he made it into the song. That inspired the song. So the twins are Miles and Griffin.
Yeah, they're 16, Gus. They're like, one day they were in sixth grade. I'm driving them home from school, and the car begins to smell like someone's been shooting hoops in that car. And it was not me, them. So I said, this is deodorant. Learn to love it, learn to know it.
Miles named after Miles Davis? Is he one of your favorite
Well,
musicians?
Miles and Griffin, my sister and my wife got the first names. I got the middle names. Miles is actually for M, for Margaret. That was Denise's mother's name. And Griffin, D, his name is Griffin Dane. D is for my mom, Dolores.
Dolores. I met
That's D.
Dolores.
But
Mm-hmm.
Griffin, he must have been 5 years old. I said, I bet you don't know your whole name. Yes, I do. What is it? He said, Griffin Dave. I said, Griffin what? Dave? So, Griffin Dave.
Cool. So Miles, that's Gus's twin. That's the twin you say looks like my son, Gus.
Right?
Gus will be 18 on May 15th.
Gus is a good guy. Good looking guy as well.
He is. Glad you got to meet him when he
Yeah.
was three. He was about 3 or 4, maybe 5.
I,
No, he had to be 6 because you met my daughter too.
he was older.
6 or 7. Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite memories is coming to see you and your kids and the woman who used to be your wife. But,
Sabrina.
uh, you know, wouldn't have missed it for the world. I'm glad I did. It was a great night.
Me too. Um, so the Black News, you're at the Black News channel now.
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, I know. First recollection when I realized that you were on TV, noticed you were on a FedEx commercial. And I think you showed it to my grandmother and she kept a tape of it. What was your first job in television? That's the first one I remember.
That was, I'll tell you how that came to be. I used to do stand-up comedy. I always say I was so funny, I ended up in news. That's how funny I was. But one night, excuse me, at the bar in the comedy club, a guy said, "You can make a lot of money doing commercials." I said, "No." He said, "Yeah." So he said, "You need an 8x10, had an agent." I go there with a suit and tie on. They're laughing at me because guys are coming in Hawaiian shirts and shorts and all that. So I just went in, and that commercial, the guy said, "Say I'm covered." I said, "I'm covered." Do it with you smiling. Go back out and say I'm covered with you smiling. So I come out, I say to the girl, "Who's the mountain man in there?" And she says, "That's the director." So that was my first job. I said, "I'm covered." And but in TV, my first job was that national weatherman job. They they came to me and they said, "How do you feel about doing the weather?" I'd gotten fired. I was in the paper showing the article, and he saw that, had me come in, and I said, "Sure." And so I went. I got the job that turned into 60.
Yeah, so you did stand up. I understand Robin Williams. You is one of your friends from the comedy world. May he rest in peace. A big fan of his. I always think of him as Mort from Ork. Nanu, Nanu.
Right,
Who were
right.
some other comedians that were, doing stand up when you were doing that type of thing?
Well, I always say outside of my mom and dad, the person who had the biggest influence on me is now in prison, Bill Cosby. Bill made me want to do stand up, made me want to be clean. I knew nothing about what the whole thing. I knew nothing about that, but he was the guy who, um, before him, and it's one of the reasons why I'm on the Black News Channel. Black people were thought of like two or three things. White people were thought of 1,000 things, and I just wanted to be known as a person who happened to be black, as opposed to a person that you're not doing what we think you should do. So therefore, you're not as black as we think you should be. And who are you? So anyway, Bill Cosby, Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, um, Seinfeld,
Okay.
people like that.
What's your favorite Eddie Murphy skit?
Mm. See, I'm old school. Eddie and I go back a long way.
Hmm.
I remember SNL before he was on there. That's a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah, Garrett
By the
Morris.
way, Gus, he came back. He was great.
Yeah.
He was
Hmm.
great. Yeah. You know, that's a prime opportunity to fall flat on your face. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. Anyway, his favorite sketch of mine, huh, so many of them. Um, I saw him do stand up. I saw that first Beverly Hills Cop. Great movie. Great
Hmm.
movie. I can't give you one. I can't give you one. How about you?
Mine is the guy in Brooklyn when it's a car accident. He's talking about it real loud. Oh, did you see it? You just missed it. I was walking around the corner. I seen the whole thing. That one, that's right. That one. And of course, his Uncle Gus, who would
Yeah.
barbecue him. Yeah.
Right.
So Yeah. And oh, Bill Cosby, man, great inspiration for me.
My people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching say, hey, this for my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people and this classic Bible teaching, hey, 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 hey. Motivation.
I have in me the ability to make you a better you. So if you work hard, focus, stay on point, you can do anything. Trust me.
We made this track to tell everybody they can follow their dreams.
The Black News Channel. So before you were at the Black News Channel, though, you were at CBS when you had your stroke, you were in Orlando doing news in Orlando?
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Well, I came here to WKMG, the CBS station here. They had me anchoring the morning and the noon newscast. I was the first African-American male anchor in Orlando. They were grooming me for the evening newscast. But Gus, I should have checked the ratings a bit closer. I said yes, came here to do the mornings, and the mornings ratings were not even zero. They were negative numbers. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the first year, we were in second and coming hard after first. And then I had my stroke, and that effectively ended that part of my career. Anchoring locally is different from doing the news on a morning news show. Anchoring locally is my baby's in that burning building, car crashes, murders, and blah, 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 blah. In national news, you have a news reader who reads things like that, but you mainly interview people. And as entertainment, definitely interview people. And I was anchor for a while. And let's say you're interviewing a president. His people will tell you, you can't ask him about this. Your job is to get as close as you can to that line in the sand without stepping over that line in the sand. That's where the game becomes fun.
Okay. You're my interview Yoda. You remember when I was at Florida A&M University? First of all, I think we had in the journalism school, we had a little program called the short course. So we had a lot of experts come down, and we had to do a newscast. Lo and behold, I was the weatherman on the newscast. So this real pretty lady named Sheila Steinbeck, I told her, I was laughing. She was like, why you laugh? I was like, my cousin was on CBS Morning News as, he was the weatherman. She's like, who's your cousin? I said, Mark McEwen. Face lit up, right? So, there's a story there. Tell me what's going on, pimp.
I don't even know who she is. I remember Gus. Jordan is my sister's daughter. When you're on national TV, people think they know you, and you have no idea who they are. I was walking down the streets of Manhattan with Maya. Maya must have been 4, maybe 5. And a person stopped me and said, hey, I watch you all the time, and blah, 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 walked away. And Maya said, do you know them? And I said, no.
No.
No. Had no idea, but thank you.
She was she really coached me well and everything. She was like, yeah, I'm gonna get in touch with your cousin. I don't think it was her that helped me get in touch with you. Eventually, I had an internship at WTVT, Channel 13, Fox in Tampa. And I had a crush, man, on the anchor woman. She was from Miami, Florida. Roy, you probably know her. My producer, Roy, you probably know her. Name was Denise White. Bad, she was bad, and you know, it wasn't a lot of diversity, wasn't a lot of black men on TV, especially in Tampa Bay. And you know, we did hard news. You know, she helped me put my tape together, so I sent you my tape, and I had all the hard news on there. I was talking about this black couple that got pistol whipped, and they had to strip and all this other stuff. Then I had interviews. I had my own TV show in Tallahassee called On the Set. So I had interviews with H-Town. I had interviews with Luther Campbell. I had interviews with Public Enemy. You were like, Gus, you do better with entertainment news. You don't want to get into hard news. I see that entertainment is your forte. So I listened. Yes, you did. And I listened to you. And the next year, I was working for Space Ghost Coast to Coast at Turner Broadcasting, and had you on the show. And the rest, as they say, is history. So I want to thank you for that advice.
You're welcome. You know, Gus, being on a news program, being in radio, you were interviewing everyone, the viewers, the mailman. If you would call St. Louis if they were playing New York in the World Series and talk to the manager of the New York Deli, because New York, New York. And then, yay! He's like, hey, hold on. I'm from St. Louis. I like the Cardinals. But so when you got to TV, guys, I did that all the time. So it wasn't like I had to learn when I added Hollywood to the whole entertainment mix. I had to learn movies and actors. Yeah, okay. So I learned all that. But Gus, it was fun to have someone say the words I used to live for. No one's ever asked me that before. Very cool. Very cool.
Great. So what brought you to the Black News Channel?
Well, Gus, there was a woman who went to FAMU who had heard they were starting up this channel. And the head of programming, she said, I'm friends with Mark McEwen. He said, you are? I said, yeah. So she emailed me, gave me his number. I called him up. And at first he said, medical drop-ins because of my history, stroke. Okay, but I thought, I didn't say no. He said over lunch about something about men's health. And I said, okay, but after a while, you've kind of repeated everything that you can do. How about just health? I can get you Whoopi. He said, no, just men's health. Okay. So the way I see it, Gus, is you don't say no to stuff like that. You don't. So you make it work for you. So when I signed the contract, he said, how about all things men? Their cars, their barbershops, my idea. Cooking, my idea. So he said, give me 12 ideas for shows that you might have. Okay, Gus, he loves every one of them. Every one I've come up with has been on already. I just came up with another one, did Zoom today, earlier, I told you about that, and it went like a charm. Gus, this technology is going to open up a brand new window. You go from having to have a camera crew, a plane ticket to get you to LA or New York, a hotel room to stay in, a car to rent, and then you have to go wherever they say to go and set up and have two chairs and wait. Now I sit right in front of my desk at home and I talk to you. That's very cool. Very
cool. Absolutely. So you might remember what's the name Ralph Gaines Jr. mean to you?
wasn't he the president of FAMU?
Oh, no, I don't think so. Whatever the case, it's weird. So I put up the picture of you and Michael Jordan playing golf on my page. So he's like, I work with your cousin. I think he's your cameraman or something of that nature.
I want to
so-
hear this. You froze. So you put up a picture of me and Michael Jordan playing golf. Go
He's
ahead.
your cameraman or your producer or something of that nature. So I put it up on my page. So then girl I used to date in high school, Alicia Gaines, that's her cousin, right? It's like small world, right? So like you said, technology, thanks to you, I met two cousins I didn't know I had, Darielle and Lori. I knew about Darielle because her father, David, rest in peace, just passed.
My boy.
Would send my grandmother grandfather pictures, and Homer, the third, my cousin, my frat brother, well, we more like brothers because I'm only child, had a big crush, man, on Darielle for the longest. So
Pretty
then,
as she could be.
So
Pretty
then-
as she could be.
she's bad. Both of them, very, very beautiful women. I want to thank you. I got to meet them in Atlanta. And Lori, I love Lori to death. When I DJ live on Facebook, she tunes in to see me. I got a chance to meet. I didn't get a chance to meet her son Ace, who died of a motorcycle accident. But before that, we were friends on Facebook, and so she got to meet my kids. Wonderful, and it's crazy. It's like I felt like I was looking in the mirror. And same thing when I met your brother and his beautiful daughter. She looks like my cousin Monica. It's so good to have family, and technology makes it even better.
I agree.
So,
I've talked to, seen, and got together with family because of this.
absolutely, same here. Are you familiar with the comedian Byron Allen?
Yes.
Did you do comedy with him, or are you more familiar with what he's been doing as far as television?
When I was doing stand-up, Byron had to be like 15 or 16. He was a kid. And that was a big draw to have someone that young in a comedy club. Because by nature, you have to be 18 or 21.
To 21, yeah.
Yeah. And so he couldn't drink a drink. He could drink milk. He kind of made a joke about that. But you didn't have that many. I can think of maybe one young guy, him. So he has his own network or something.
Yeah. He owns the Weather Channel. I know that. He has a show called Comics Unleashed. It comes on like late at night, and he has an ongoing lawsuit against Comcast to try to get more diversified programming. And my producer Roy, who you just met, do you watch the Wake Up Show with Charlamagne Tha God and Angela Yee in New York? So anyway, it's kind of like a hip hop talk show. Byron Allen was on there discussing his case, and they were asking him, the hosts were asking, what was your motivation for the case? So he said a young man wrote me a letter about there not being a lot of diversified programming, and he was asking for help and assistance and asking would he aid me in starting a Black sports network. Well, that letter was written by my producer Roy, who you just met, and this is the Black Sports Network, Jericho. So we were not even aware of it until I think Roy's cousin brought it to his attention. He was like, he's talking about you. So it's a wonderful thing. I would love to meet Byron Allen. I grew up watching him on Real People, I think it was, and Speak Up America, one of those talk shows as a child. I'm doing research. I learned more about his story, how his mother worked at NBC as a cleaning lady or something like that. And he just came to work with her, and he was like, I want to be in TV. And now look at him. So hopefully we'll get to meet him and get him involved with our network.
the great thing about being part of the Black News Channel is
Mm-hmm.
you get to show people all sides of us. Um, they used to see what you see now on TV and movies. You sure didn't see when I was a kid. Scandal: a black woman having an affair with a married white man who just happens to be the president of the United States and is crazy in love with her. Seeing black people kiss, seeing black people pay mortgages, go to the doctor, just do stuff other than being feed some family now, or a thug, or a drug dealer, or a gangster. That was it as far as I saw growing up. To be able to be part of that change is great.
I can remember being a child, and so my grandmother Maxell's, father was white, and her mother was a black Native American woman. So, on that side of family, most of the people are light complected, and my dad's side of family, all different shades. I can remember being a kid. I thought I was white, like real talk, because I didn't never go visit my dad's family. Dad was incarcerated for many years of my life, but every now and then when I did go to see his family when he came to visit on the weekend, I'm like, wait a minute, I think I'm black, or I don't know, I might be mixed, but I never saw people on TV that looked like me.
Right.
Once I figured out I was black, I was like, I don't see any light-skinned people on TV except I remember Denise Nicholas from Baby I'm Back with Demon Wilson. I remember Red Fox. I remember being like, oh, Red Fox kind of looks like my grandfather. My grandfather used to love Red Fox. I remember James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
He reminds me the most of my grandfather, your Uncle Homer. I'm talking like, and then I found out that they're both from Mississippi, So I'm so glad that now, you have a little bit of everything. But we need more. We come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And I want to thank you for your show, All Things Men. And I have yet to see it, but I know you have wonderful people in there like Daryl Jones, just to name a few.
The thing today was the guest was someone who had his hair done at my wife's Denise's salon. He is a minister. He's Gus, I'm watching a video of his on YouTube, and I'm looking. I think, is that a Run DMC T-shirt you have on? I told him, when I was younger, you never saw that. You saw priests in priestly robes and ministers in suit and tie and all that. You never saw holy jeans and a Run DMC T-shirt. Come on now. I think that's cool as it could be.
Real cool. Our pastor at First Congregational Church now is Reverend Dwight Andrews, and he's the music theory teacher at Emory as well, right? So it's nothing to go to church and Cornel West is in church, It's nothing to go to church and he was the music director for Raising in the Sun with Diddy and Felicia Rashad, Jasmine Guy's been in my church, several times. So it's just really cool. And he found out I rap. So he wants to hear my new mixtape. So I'm like, dang, I gotta do a radio version now. So,
Pressure.
It's real cool.
Go get
it. So is there anything you like to add?
Gus, one thing they don't tell you when you're younger is how people start disappearing. Your mother, your father, your brother, your hero, your heroes. And I've learned that the name of the game is to be here as long as you can. Gus, my stroke was awful, terrible. I'm still recovering, but I'm still here. So, I'll take it. I'll take it. And they say I'm older than you, but they say one day you're 25 and the next day you're 65, just like that. And they didn't tell you that either. Didn't tell me when I was younger. There you have it. Good to see you, my friend.
You too. And my pen name or my show name is 6 Degrees. You know why? Guess why they call me 6 Degrees?
Wow.
They say I know everybody. It's it's like 6 degrees of separation. But I have a theory with black people, it's a lot less than 6 degrees.
Well, Gus, you froze. You know why they call me 6 Degrees? It froze right then. So go.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people. I'm connected with everybody like 6 degrees of separation. When I did my first mixtape, I think it was called the Black Kevin Bacon. Called me the Black Kevin Bacon. So anyway, I want you to take care. I want you to keep on social distancing. One more question. Is that an Irish setter? That pretty dog right there?
That's a golden doodle. Lola.
Lola. Hey, Lola.
Lola. Lola. Lola. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, Lola. Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets.
Yes. My wife always says, I want Lola's life. All day she gets kisses and love and treats and told how special she is. And she's earned every bit of that.
My cousins, Ralph and Erica Long, their dog's name is Lola also.
Okay.
But she's a beagle. She's a beagle.
Maya named her dog Layla, our dog Lola.
Cool. All right. So anything else you like to add?
That's pretty much it. Back to being bored.
I'm gonna definitely see you in Tallahassee when I come for homecoming next year.
I look forward to it.
All right.
Be well, my friend. Be well, my cousin.
Oh, I got one more question. So you live in Orlando, but you work in right now you're working doing Zoom, right? So that's cool.
The studio is in Tallahassee, and I would drive up there every weekend, 3.5 hours one way, and Gus don't care. You're going to work on TV. Come on now.
That's
so
cool.
I would drive up there on Sunday, drive back on Monday. And, after you do it for a while, 3.5 hours becomes 3, becomes 2. Before you know it, you're where you're supposed to be.
Cool. So when you if you ever get back to work, or if you do it on Zoom and you talk to Ralph on Zoom, you don't work with a gentleman named Jefferson Walker IV, do you? You do? You don't? Okay. I noticed that Ralph, in his Facebook page, he had pictures of my old cameraman, Jefferson Walker IV. Jefferson Walker was also the son of Jefferson Walker, who was the chief of police at FAMU. Then he transferred. He was the chief of police at Grambling University, in Louisiana after that. So small world. So I'm going to sign off by saying, like I said on my show, Live on the Set, no matter where you go, there you are.
Be well, brother. Be well.
Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
For my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people, and this classic Bible teaching say, make this for my people that don't get to see me, trying to remind you who you are, just like in Romans 3. See, we about to blow across the world just like a day that's breezy. This motivation for the people, and this classic Bible teaching, hey.
Diamond Cut.